probably should have done 6:30. Okay, we're going to call our meeting to order. This is a...
Excuse me, would you kindly all speak into the microphone?
Okay,
4 inches from the microphone so that we can hear.
Okay, I'll try. I can't speak very loud tonight, but I'll try best I can. This is a work session, so there's no public comment from the audience. Just a couple things. Everyone's received. There were different emails that went around that I responded to. One was to, the first one I sent out to everybody was comments on the comments, and I tried to give a good background on a lot of things, a lot of comments that were made. Some of the comments were a huge number of the comments were by people talking about the project at the Country Club of Woodbridge, which we have nothing to do with. The timing of it coming out didn't really help our meeting, to say the least. There was, and a lot of the comments came from the whole POC deal. The whole POCD was not read in completely by people that were making some of the comments, because a number of the comments were made maybe weren't in the section that this person was referring to, but it was actually in another section. So, and I tried to spell that out. The other thing is there were a lot of comments about what's in this POCD, completely different than the 05 POCD, blah, blah, blah. And as I explained it, there's a huge number of things. This POCD that we're doing is just a continuation of past POCDs, and it's just another 10 years. It's the next 10 years. It doesn't start from square one, and there are a number of items in here that are pretty much right out of the 05 POCD that we're putting into this year's POCD. So we're not trying to eliminate anything. But going back to what I initially said, there were a couple of great comments. So it was a draft, and it was good to have other people looking at it and giving their input. So, and I think that you'll see that there's a proposed changes tonight that will take care of I think the biggest, most serious issues that came out with Mione MacBroom. Other email we have out here, I'm just saying this because I want to make sure it's on the public record. There was an email that I had sent to the Land Trust because there were a number of things that the Land Trust said at the public comments that were not true. And there were a number of, and those comments were then put into the paper. And so, and the biggest majority of the comments were that all these things on Land Trust weren't in the POCD. Every one of these red tabs refers to the Land Trust issues that were claimed not to be in the POCD. So, and then there was another question about, there was another email about protected land and unprotected land, and actually Mione MacBroom will cover most of this, but just because it's in the emails, the majority of the water company property is protected land. We may not own it, but the majority of the property category class 1 and class 2, and that is all protected. So whether we own it or not, it's still protected. So it's not like it's unprotected. And we do have the right of first refusal to buy that property. So it is considered protected as opposed to unprotected. So we've taken a lot of comments, these comments, the comments from the emails. We heard from Recreation, who we put in touch with Mione MacBroom, because they felt there were things that weren't in there that they were looking for because they had spent a lot of time on this stuff. Same thing for Coonservation. They had also suggested that there were certain things that they thought should be in there that weren't in there. And so Mione MacBroom have spent a substantial amount of time on this. I've worked with them back and forth in this, and so I think we've attempted to cover all the substantial issues that were good comments and things like that. So I think I'm going to turn it over to Mione MacBroom, Phil, and Tim. They've brought us a new clean copy. This is the one that there is right now, the draft.
Right.
Okay, fine. Okay, that was better.
What I have for your consideration tonight is proposed amendments, language changes to the November document. In here we cite a page number and exactly what the modification is, and that's all contained here. So let me distribute that, and we can work off of this. POCD also is.
Okay, so while Phil's passing that out, the other thing is you'll see that this packet got a little thicker than we would have preferred. So we have a fair amount of stuff to go through. The idea was to lay it out in such a way so that we can go by the pages where the comments came from, so we don't have to go through each paragraph through the whole thing, because there is a lot of boilerplate and statistics in here. We may not get to the end of this tonight, and by the same token, if we do and people are more comfortable trying to digest it, then we could suggest finishing and or making our final vote at the March meeting. If we don't actually vote on this tonight, the intent of this document is not to go out to the public and get more comments. So I'm trusting everybody will take that into account. The public hearing is closed. There are no more public comments. There seems to be a undercurrent of dragging planning and zoning into a political commentary. This is not a political board. We're appointed, and we're here to do the POCD. It's got nothing to do with the politics. It's got nothing to do with the election. So I want to be really clear that everybody stay above board on this issue. So, Phil, Tim?
Can I have to state first that I have viewed the two videos while they automatically linked from the January 28th public hearing that I could not attend in person.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll go through this one item at a time, and I guess if Commission has any comments or questions, we'll address them one at a time. Right. First thing is right in the introduction, paragraph 3, basically amending that paragraph to add the statement, the plan includes many elements from the 2005 Plan of Conservation and Development, as well as new goals and strategies that respond to current conditions. This is a statement. Then there were a number of issues about the Woodbridge Village area, and we cover those on pages 14, 15, and 17, and they're all in the same area, and we're suggesting that we add the sentence to each of these pages because each of those identified a condition that was in the village area that this additional sentence works with. These conditions indicate a need for additional housing units in the Woodbridge Village area, including mixed-use housing suited to the village character. So it's a response to a characteristic of the village.
Okay, so I'm going to unfortunately have to interrupt you every once in a while. So in the 05 POCD, which we actually tried to get to everybody, but we didn't succeed. The 05 POCD on I'll try to hold this up, but you'll kind of see what it is. Forgive me.
What page is that on?
34.
It's on the website, right?
Yeah, I got to look at that.
Oh yeah, exactly. There you go. So they determined the village district area, which is great, and they call out undeveloped areas. They call out possible village district, and then they call out potential part of the village district zone, which that specifically refers to the residential area that's attached. That's included in the dotted area of what the village district is. And it wasn't included, but it was proposed. But we are suggesting that it go in there, if you remember correctly, because one night we stood here while there were 3 two-family houses that were being put up in that neighborhood, and there was no control from us or from the neighborhood on what those houses would look like. The regs on the village district, it talks about design and placement of buildings, maintenance of public views, street hardware, lighting, paving, construction of landscape area, buffered and screening. This is one of these are all the things that we get to look at when we're evaluating a project that's going into the village district. It does not apply to single-family homes. Basically, I'm sure the reasoning for that was that if some guy decided to change the siding on his house, he didn't have to come before planning and zoning. But it does apply to two-family houses and above for everything else that goes into the village district. So that's why we said let's put this in there. It doesn't hurt anybody in that neighborhood. It only helps them, as an example of these 3 two-family houses that went up that we didn't have any control over.
So Jeff, just so that we're clear,
Sure.
So under the site plan review, if you were to use the language that you're talking about, then there would be, in fact, a site plan review for other than single-family houses in the village district under this supposition?
That's correct. It's the same. It's the exact same Woodbridge Village District.
That's only for new construction, Jeff?
Well, it could be anything but single-family homes. So
It says reconstruction and rehabilitation.
right. So it can
in the
be
zoning regs
anything,
already.
just not a single-family home. So I mean, the idea is to make a really nice area, and this way there's some control for that area to look good. I mean, that's what the village district is doing. The regs.
Right, but if we expand the village district and then these regs apply, then people would have to understand that they would have to also comply with this language, which probably a lot of people may not realize.
Not if it's single-family homes.
Understood.
Okay.
Other than single-family homes.
I think, Jeff, one concern that came up in the public hearing was, and don't mean to jump ahead, but it's on the conversation we're talking about, is where it states in the midterm action agenda under the Housing Action Plan, removing barriers to new, appropriately scaled multifamily housing in the Village District.
Okay, so I don't want to cut you off, but we need to stay a little bit in order because I'll bet you we're covering that.
Okay.
So I hear you, I agree, but
Okay.
so
Then the next is page 19. This is basically a description of demographics and racial characteristics. There was some redundancy in the first paragraph, and we eliminated that to tighten the language up a little bit. Since there are changes being made, we try to take some liberties in those areas to improve our presentation a little bit. Page 24.
what page did you point out before?
It was on 27,
Okay.
28.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
On 24,
Make
revising
sure
the
somebody
title.
didn't pass it.
Revising the title from renters and low-income households struggle with housing costs. Basically, high housing costs pose affordability challenges, and then removing the first two paragraphs and replacing it with basically a statement. Housing affordability is commonly measured by the number of households that can find housing options for less than 30% of their household income. In Woodbridge, some 33% of households pay above this threshold. High housing costs are more common among renters, and the majority of whom pay 30% of housing income on rent and related housing expenses. Smaller proportion of homeowners, approximately 31%, face housing costs above this. So it's basically a factual statement from based upon the statistics that we evaluated.
So you're getting rid of some of the other data in there because that seems to be cumbersome and maybe it's not helpful?
This kind of this tightens it up quite a bit and just really addresses the affordability item. Once you get into some of the other income areas and all, it just adds a measure of confusion. It's really just a statement of condition. It doesn't have if you would, an action item that goes with it.
But the chart that you have is going to still be included, right? So if people wanted to dig down.
Right, the
that's
charts remain.
Okay.
Correct. On page 26, we're editing paragraph 1 again to read, Woodbridge unique demographics and housing stock pose current and practical obstacles to affordability among empty nesters. Fortunately, policies in place at the local, state, and federal levels can contribute to a housing market that meets the needs of a full range of Woodbridge present and future residents. So this puts the focus on empty nesters, which is the local issue. Some of the others we cited are not really a local factor, so we're pulling that right out and make it more targeted to the specifics of this community. And then we are removing the first bullet point. At the wrong page. The first bullet point, a lot of issue confusion on accessory apartments at the hearing, and so the first bullet point will read: in-law apartments can increase the community stock of affordable housing without requiring new physical development, while allowing homeowners to provide supportive but independent housing for relatives, share housing costs. Given Woodbridge's housing stock, in-law units could provide opportunities for housing for family members. Make the focus clear as to the relationship of the parties that would be allowed.
Right, our discussions at our meetings have been about in-law apartments and not necessarily the verbiage of
Right.
accessory apartments.
I think one thing that should be clear is that you're providing an in-law situation within the confines of an existing house and not an accessory structure being built.
Right.
You know?
The word accessory obviously caused lots of confusion. Sorry for that.
And also, a lot of these things, all this will require.
Zoning changes.
Pardon?
All this would require very
Exactly.
specific zoning,
That's
proposed
correct.
zoning
Exactly.
changes where everything would be spelled out.
Right. This is just a vision.
Yes.
And, like if you look at Orange's in-law regs, it's pretty specific. This is many square feet, et cetera, et cetera. It covers all those things, but that wouldn't necessarily be, you wouldn't put that in here because it hasn't been approved. So.
All right. And then the last thing on 26 is deleting bullets 2 and 3 from the text. It's the home equity conversion mortgages and the affordable housing district language. Page 27 under the near-term action agenda, update zoning regulations. We're going to edit bullet 1 to read is amend village district to include mixed use in specific locations.
Which bullet are you actually?
First bullet under where it says update zoning regulations. It's
Okay, so
item
it's
2.
under number 2.
Right.
Yeah, it's under
Your
item
turn.
2. That's
Yes.
what I just wanted to know.
It said adopt, and we're suggesting it probably more appropriate to indicate amend.
Okay.
And then completely delete bullet 3, which talks about revisions in the resident A zone. That got a lot of comments, so we're suggesting that get pulled. And then under the heading revised village district designation.
No, I think you skipped one. Revised bullet 4.
Oh, I'm sorry, that's right. I did miss that. Adopt revisions to residential and village mixed-use districts to allow in-law apartments for related persons in existing and future single-family homes. So again, get rid of the reference to accessory. And that comes up a couple more times in the document.
Okay, but this still has a little confusion in it for me because one of the comments that was brought up, which was a good comment, where is in the residential village district you're allowed 2-family homes, and people were concerned it was going to turn into a 3-family home. So we want to be careful that we don't want to have a 2-family home and then have that 2-family home
Right.
be able to put an in-law apartment in there, because we don't. The idea is not to create
Right.
a 3-family home.
That's why the reference is made to single-family homes specifically.
Right. Okay. So I just want to make sure that's what that's saying.
So we have it covered. We didn't mention the
Okay.
2-family.
Okay.
Okay. Then we go to revised village district designation, and here redraw village district borders to match the village mixed use and village residential areas following recommendations from the 2005 Plan of Conservation and Development.
So can you just say what that is again? The recommendations from the 2005 Plan of Conservation and Development, since I don't think all of us have it in front of us, it would be useful to have
Well, you
that
kind of
set.
need to see the map.
Pardon me?
It's a map. It's not a.
It's the map issue.
It's the page 34 that everybody was supposed to get today.
Right.
But
Okay.
The extent.
So Jeff, why don't you just explain that quickly?
okay, so
Which page is it?
34.
I can show you then, Alan.
Okay. But I just think everybody probably would benefit from that.
okay. Well, I think I just did it, but I'll do it again. So this area right in here is all the proposed village district, and it's referred to as possible village district zone. And then this green striped area running up along 69, right? 69 is potential part of the village district zone. That's what we're calling the residential village zone. So, does that answer your question?
Okay, yes, it does. Thank you.
So the zoning, again, the zoning isn't changing in there. It just has the oomph of the regs and what's required for anything to be done in the village district, other than for single-family homes. Sorry.
Okay. The next item is the pursue development proposals for age-restricted lifestyle housing on Country Club of Woodbridge property, which may include higher density housing. Proposing that be amended. We talked about review proposals. In fact, it's not the commission's charge to review proposals. You're in charge of planning and zoning. So changing that to a planning orientation and say, consider age-restricted lifestyle housing, which may include cluster housing or planned development district to take advantage of the site's unique access to public water, sewer, and transportation infrastructure, and to create housing options for older residents and provide opportunities for Woodbridge residents to age within their community.
So again, this other than the fact that we're suggesting the CCW property, the 05 POCD does talk about, there's a whole section on cluster housing. There's a whole cluster housing being used for age-restricted people in town, so I'm just telling you, we're kind of continuing. We're just getting a little more specific to help the process. We haven't really changed anything here.
I think you're almost designating the CCW as an age-restricted property, for development. And I thought maybe an idea is to have some language that states for the parcel or for that paragraph to say pursue development proposals along with, for both development and open space for the Country Club of Woodbridge. So it could be open space.
Right.
You're kind of restricting it to age restricted.
Okay.
As far as some other possible proposals.
Okay. So again, it shouldn't actually say that we're reviewing anything in the POC.
Right.
And this is just a vision. We're just saying that that's the area we think there should be age-restricted housing. And when we originally had talked about it, and the input from the public was to actually do one part of it and keep most of it as open space. So again, ignore any proposals that are out there that we don't know anything about.
Right. No, I understand.
And so I don't think we're saying on here that the whole piece of property should be developed. And all that has to go for a referendum anyway. I mean, it's got to go through so many steps before that can even happen. We're just suggesting, in fact, if you really go back to what we're probably suggesting is just one part. But regardless, we're saying that's where we think it should go. And I think when it comes down to what gets developed and what gets to be open space, then the whole town gets to talk about that.
But don't you think we can add language, because it says consider age-restricted lifestyle housing? Can't we put in language that includes open space proposals as well, which is not in there? Because there may be some other possible, option for this.
It seems like you're directing it towards the age-restricted housing. Well, this leaves an option open if people want to consider.
But again, when you're looking at this, you're looking at this when you're talking now, right? You're not looking at this thing.
Right. Yeah, I'm looking right here.
Okay.
Yeah, at the new amendments.
Jeff, I think that's a good point. In other words, I think you're not going to take the language and be exclusive in terms of your point of view. I think it's easy enough to consider whatever the viable options may be. So you're looking at that and you're saying, geez, that might have age-restricted option,
Yeah.
but it may also have open space option.
Right.
And I think it
Which
might
is
be
what we
useful
all
to
want to do
that.
anyway.
And I think what it does is it addresses the concerns of, what we heard a lot of over there. And there was veracity to that point of view. Because we're not at that level, and I think everybody who's listening really has to appreciate the fact that we're kind of at a very higher level, and when you get down to productivity like with zoning, right, you're into a very different can of worms. You're definitely dealing with specifics.
Yep.
This is that general vision. So I think the general vision should include whatever the possibilities are. So I agree with Buddy on that one.
I don't know why that boldface title there is more detailed than any other boldface title in the action plans. It should just be something like, all of them start with a verb, so it should be consider Country Club of Woodbridge property, and then under it, the bullet should be the one that says whatever it says.
That's fine. That's good.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah.
It takes away the... just makes it stand out.
I agree.
You guys are going to pay attention to grammar and style as you do this, right? Because there's inconsistencies in some of your edits here and little words missing, right?
I
Just
warned them
saying.
you were coming tonight. Don't worry.
I know.
And we're depending on you.
It's actually pretty good.
There you go.
Right, is there consensus that we change the
I
title?
think what Kathleen suggested was a good idea.
So we'll just label this Country Club of Woodbridge property will be the heading, and then we'll
No.
have
You got to start with a verb. All the other ones start with a verb.
So we've got
Connect, update, revise. Right? Come on. Stylistically, just make it. Just put the appropriate verb. Consider.
Yeah, consider. I
Consider,
think is good. Consider usage. For the country club property, consider the uses. I think that's as generic as you could probably be.
Okay.
Just. We've been sitting next to each other a long time.
All right.
And it's agreed you want to add consideration of open space in conjunction with, so if we could change it right up front, consider age-restricted lifestyle housing along with open space.
Well, maybe it should just say consider age-restricted lifestyle housing, which may include cluster housing or planned development, comma, open space. I think open space should be part of that sentence.
Okay.
But I'll defer to Kathleen.
I'd start with open space then.
There you go.
Say, which may include open space, comma, cluster housing,
Yeah.
comma, or planned development district. Here we go.
That's what I was thinking, but
You're
Well,
kind,
if you're
Jen.
considering age-restricted lifestyle, that wouldn't be classified as open space.
Yeah, so maybe open space should just be a separate bullet. Because if the lead in here is going to be consider Country Club of Woodbridge property, maybe a separate bullet should be consider including open space. So I don't
Consider options for country
options
club.
for open space. Yeah, but it have to be a separate bullet. You're right. It doesn't fit under age restricted housing.
okay. Okay, well, that's actually better than having it in there, actually.
What's that?
So open space, just have it as a separate bullet.
Okay, we ready for page 28? All right.
Come on, 27 had the most comments at the meeting. It was okay if we spent 12 minutes on it.
But you'll let him move on now?
Yes.
Okay.
Sorry, I was just
Okay.
saying.
Well, he's pausing.
All right, under midterm action agenda, 3 midterm action agenda, adding a new item to read: strive to maintain a balanced housing stock that responds to the housing needs of residents over their life cycle. That would be a
What was the thinking behind that? It seems a little gratuitous.
Well, actually, we're kind of following through on what's in the 05 POCD. I mean, so we're just kind of continuing it. It's one of the
Because you wouldn't strive to
There
maintain
is
an
a-
unbalanced housing stock, or,
Yeah.
or a
we do have-
housing stock that
well,
doesn't respond to
well,
the needs. Or,
Well, we
the
do have an
demography
unbalanced
of a
housing stock
town
right now.
changes over time,
Right.
and this community is clearly weighted towards
Yeah.
very large
We're really
single-family houses.
overbalanced.
And so these other
Not
needs are
balanced.
started as people age, as younger people want to move in. There's not really much housing stock to address those needs. So I think that's how all of this discussion on lifestyle housing and smaller units and
Well, I think when you realize, at least at the demographics that you've recited, over 56% of the homes in Woodbridge are 4 bedrooms or more. I mean, I don't think there's any other community around here that's
Right.
like that. Okay, so you do have to respond, especially if the demographics are telling you it's smaller families that are now occupying those. Okay, and that just, I mean, I don't know if this is true, because obviously the recent past is that there's a little more school children than expected. But on balance, I guess it's a declining school population. So we've got to respond to that for the next 10 years.
The next item on page 28 is to delete the second bullet item and its associated objective. Under expand Woodbridge's menu of housing options, we're getting back to the types of housing. Encourage an increase in the supply of starter homes and housing appropriate for young professionals in the Village District mixed-use area.
so before Kathleen says it, encourage an increase in, should the word in be inserted, in the supply?
Yep. All right. Since we're then talking about next deleting the supply of 55-plus housing options, that's really addressed in other items, and also consider limited equity housing, deleting those bullets also.
So the whole section.
Yep. So those would just completely come out.
Want me to take chapter 2?
All right. Then we can move to page 41. Under near-term action agenda, advocate for solutions to transportation needs. To amend the first bullet to partner with New Haven and other surrounding communities and affected businesses to support accelerated timeline for planned improvements to Route 15 and Litchfield Turnpike. This is kind of a recognition of the absolute need for a regional effort to get the attention of DOT. The next heading, foster 21st century economy linked to creative sector. Basically, that eliminates inappropriate tax incentives. It recommends attention to that sector, but it doesn't go as far as suggesting tax incentives.
But you get it at the state level.
There is some at the state level, so there was no confusion about local programs. Next is page 42. This is under the long-term action agenda. Item find space funding and partners to launch a business incubator and/or co-working space. First bullet says examine and support through state tax incentives. So we're leaving that essentially alone. We're adding the emphasis to the state program, not to generate any business for local requests. On the second bullet, that's being changed to look for opportunities to develop shared workspaces. Under the last heading, create live workspaces, support creative industries by developing live work units in Woodbridge Village mixed-use district. Under Woodbridge on page 43, Woodbridge Village Conceptual Plan. We're revising the first sentence to read, the Woodbridge Village area, often referred to locally as the Flats or Amity, is the most densely built-up area of Woodbridge and the neighborhood best suited to encourage development, such as new business and mixed use over the next 10 years and beyond. Okay. Then under priority development sites, second bullet, revised to having greater potential in the near term by virtue of being vacant or underutilized. Should be a U, not a V.
Right.
Under infill and reuse development sites, the third bullet, amending that to read, are likely to respond to mixed-use development. Simplify that a little bit.
Well,
Going to page 45. First, under ongoing design priorities, improve intersections, essentially adding the words working with Connecticut DOT. Make it explicit on how you get those roadway upgrades accomplished. Moving down to create functional pedestrian corridors across the village. We're basically changing the words invest in to encourage. Make it optional. Going down to reconfigure on and off street parking. In the second line, where it reads that land use regulations require off-street, changing that to read favor off-street, so it's not prescriptive. Under in the right-hand column, under consult with development community, we are in the third line where it says steps to attract high-quality residential. We're adding and commercial mixed-use projects to make that clear. Then under the near-term action agenda, the second bolded line, clarify and strengthen village district standards. First bullet, basically adding as per the 2005 Plan of Conservation and Development. Make that this is really a carry-on recommendation. Going to page 46. Under paragraph 4, last paragraph next to the table, Propose.
Under village district. Are you looking at the village residential?
Yeah.
Village residential.
Oh, yeah, okay, I'm sorry, that's right, that's 4. That's right, under the heading Village Residential. The proposed Village Residential Zone combines portions of the existing residential B, B, C, and D zones into a unified residential zone consistent with the goals of the 2005 Woodbridge Plan of Conservation and Development. And the balance of the paragraph is as was in the plan.
Well, we should read the rest of that then.
All right. The intent of the VR zone is to provide development regulations consistent with the existing 1 and 2 family residential uses in key areas of the village district in forms other than apartments over commercial uses and with guidance of Architectural Review Board. In particular, modestly sized and ground-oriented first-floor housing units can easily be built to high standards of accessibility, providing new options for older residents.
And then, yeah.
Then the last paragraph is
Get rid of and 2 family residences.
And form more.
Yep.
the last paragraph is proposed to be revised to read, to achieve these goals, the VR zone emphasizes small lot residences using the existing standards of the residential D district as a starting point. Existing one-family residences will be permitted to add in-law apartments or home offices by right, subject to design standards. General design guidelines will address issues such as scale, 2-story, orientation towards the street, landscaping, and access per existing regulations. This addresses a 2-family question that was raised.
And it also is kind of repeating parts of what the regs already say about what happens in the village district.
Okay. Then we go to page 90. Under 2, near-term action agenda, heading avoid patterns of development that harm scenic and environmental values, eliminating the first bullet, which reads develop open space conservation subdivision options and encourage their use in land use regulations. This was received lots of commentary at the meeting, and we're pulling it out. Okay.
So before you get into this, so there was a lot of confusion on this on the next couple pages. As far as, again, we started talking about a little bit before, protected, unprotected, how much of the town is what, and so they've attempted to make it a little more clear, and I'll explain it further. And also, there were some a couple of one for sure errors in the acreage. That's been corrected.
And the acreage is the chart on page 95?
Yes,
That's correct.
Okay.
so that chart has changed
Okay.
quite a bit actually. So Phil, go ahead. So
Okay. First the first paragraph under classifying Woodbridge is open space. It's rewritten to read, Woodbridge's supply of open space areas ranges from wooded trails to ball fields and playgrounds to open parcels. approximately 25% of the town's land area is protected open space, with another 12% in open land for a total 37% open land area. Not all land classified for open space within Woodbridge is protected from development to an equal extent. Categories of open space in Woodbridge are presented below in descending order of strength of their protections. And that page goes on.
Should just take out the comment, the very first comment in that paragraph.
Yep.
Then going to page 94, open space preservation goals. The last paragraph on the page is deleted and substituted is the following. In order to support local partners in acquiring protected open space, numerous grant opportunities exist. For example, DEEP has provided an open space and watershed land acquisition grant program to support the purchase of land and conservation easements by municipalities, nonprofit organizations, and water companies. Specific priorities for this program include establishing or expanding greenways, passive recreation areas, and wildlife habitat, protecting noteworthy natural features and threatened or endangered species habitats, enhancing or protecting water quality, and preserving local agricultural land and activities. The town should continually examine and seek out grants to support its open space goals, such as new acquisitions or land management.
Can I go back to the first paragraph on page 93? I don't know why we went from talking about open space to open land. I mean, I remember it was wasn't it the Conservation Commission that came with all these definitions, right? They had talked about the need to define. It just seems to me that if you use the term open land, does that now mean something different than open space?
Well, wanted to make the distinction between open space, I believe, connotes protection. That it's in a category and that its use out to the future is going to remain that. Open land is kind of a fact, what it's being used for at a point, but it doesn't have any protection. So we try to make that distinction and really in follow along to what the Conservation Commission was suggesting, just a little different nomenclature, and we carried that through to the new table, or basically the replacement on page 95, where you can, I think, see it quite clearly now. We should have made that. We were trying and obviously didn't succeed to really make that distinction in this section clearly enough. But I think we get there now. With the revised table and the changes in the language that we've been adding. So when we refer to 37% open land area in the community, that's the sum of protected and unprotected to get the grand total. But since this is a land use plan, the use is open. That's a fact based on adding up all the parcels.
I guess it's just because I don't see open land as one of the defined terms in the list below that first paragraph. I just don't think, I get what you're trying to do, and that's what we need to do, but it's not there as one of the official terms that we are putting forth. Well, then let's put in a definition. It just, to me, it adds confusion. What's open land? What's open space?
What I could do easily is under that we could put a heading of protected open space above the fully protected, and then where we get to municipally managed, we could put another subheading of open land. Then that would...
Why wouldn't you just put another board at the bottom?
That would define it.
Well, you have two, in your table, you have two categories, protected space and other open lands.
So I think that's the notion there, if I understand you correctly, to just sort of ensure that that's consistent across
Okay.
both the set of definitions and the table. Does that get what you're
I think
after there?
you're saying I should add the word open, protected open space. That's right, that should be in there.
Protected space, in fact, you can even take the language from here, protected space and other open land. So it foots totally.
Right. I mean, yeah, just use the terms in your table, the revised table, and include those terms appropriately in the definitions as you begin that section.
Yep. Okay.
Are those calculations now the same as we've had them before? Because I know there's some more definitions.
There's a slight revision. The major item was that the PA 490 acreage, or the assessor's records that we were working off of, initially excluded quite a few parcels that had that PA 490 sort of designation to it. As you can see, just based on the location in the table, it's not a strong level of protection, but we did want to note that wherever it is present. So by the current figures, we have 787 acres that are protected by PA 490, and that doesn't include any land that might have that designation but is subject to some other higher level of open space protection.
And that's compared to 8 acres as the original placeholder.
But that 25% figure of protected open space is accurate.
That's correct.
Right. Now, it's important. There's another distinction. That includes the state parcel.
Understood.
Okay, and that's 100% of, regardless of who controls it, of protected, which is, certainly something this community should be quite proud of, because that's not certainly not your normal situation. Even in suburban communities, it just doesn't exist. So that's unique. Okay. Let's see.
Can you give us a sense of
we
what
had the replacement on 94, so 95 is a new table. Follows this page as we've just been discussing.
There's maps next.
Then we revised the maps, which follow the table. They're in here. Basically, the change is adding the 490 parcels. So all that salmon color is shown, and then we've revised the open land by green plan classification. That's again showing more non-green plan parcels. Then we go to page 98. Recreation Commission requested some different pictures, so we're going to try to accommodate that. In the first bullet on page 98, we're going to add a sentence to the first bullet to indicate West River ball fields are subject to the greatest volume of use. I felt that was an important fact to include. And add a new bullet. Also on page 98, the Woodbridge Community Playground and ADA accessible play facility currently under construction, located on the Alleghe athletic fields. on page 100, other addition to the first bullet.
Additional gym.
Located in firehouse. Doesn't seem to make any sense.
Oh, so we're just, as an addendum to the first item on the additional gym, to be available for daytime activities in the center building and Beecher school gyms are in use. That any such facility is to be located in the old firehouse bays 2 and 3, as approved by the Board of Selectmen in 2012.
Correct.
They just wanted to affirm that that decision was still in place, I guess.
Well, it is.
All right. Following that, a new bullet point, addition of a 90-foot baseball diamond to the athletic fields was proposed by the Recreation Commission and Beth Wood Baseball League and approved by the Board of Selectmen in 2010. And then another bullet, in addition to the facility needs identified by the study, and they're referring to the recreation study, the Recreation Commission has indicated that low or no pesticide maintenance approaches may increase the sensitivity of fields to heavy use and other conditions, further increasing the need for athletic fields to accommodate current and desired uses.
You know, at the end of that page, and I'm not sure, it may have come up in the charrette, but I don't know that it came up in the hearing. But that last bullet says improving the town ice skating rink with a cement base. And again, this is, pre-hearing, but some of the things I've heard, and maybe other members may have heard this, is that apparently it gets pretty good use out there, and that there is a lot of room that maybe they might be able to expand it. So when it says improving, I'm wondering if we might note that it could be possible expansion. I don't want to speak for the Recreation Commission, but I've heard some commentary on that there's enough of families that seem to be using it that it sometimes gets crowded, and if there's an opportunity for them to expand it at very little cost, it might be useful for them to take a look at. So.
This is quoting the report, though, right?
Yeah, let's stick to improving, because as soon as we get to expanding, we suddenly...
I don't know that there's another
I think
word.
it still may be expanded, but...
Yeah, okay. I just bring it up because...
I hear you. It does get a huge amount of use. Yeah, I agree.
I got
How
it.
about improvement?
Yeah. Improvement to the town. Okay.
Maybe also improving the maintenance of it so that it's cleared off, water's added to it, so that they can use it. Because I know a lot of times families are out there shoveling it off to get it usable. So,
But we're not going to put that in here.
no,
Okay.
improving and maintaining. I don't know.
Yeah. I just thought that there may be possible utilization of a larger area.
Improving and
Potential expansion. That's all.
Next thing you know, we're going to...
It's not a major item in terms of all the
Next thing you
things
know,
that we're dealing with.
with.
It seemed like there's a fair amount of people who commented on it, so, but not at the public hearing.
All right. Going to page 104, which is replacing the map. Again, this had to do with the 490 parcels. You'll see many more. This is Open Space Acquisition and Protection Opportunities map. It adds all the 490s to the map to show where they're located.
The 500 acres for the 490 is a little misleading, because it's to get a tax break on the property if you have over a certain space, but after 10 years, you can put it back on the market and sell it. So you go 10 years paying lower taxes, and then it falls right back into developing.
But that's why it's not protected.
I get it. I'm just saying it's a little
Yes, it is.
It's a little misleading.
This map also has deleted the nonprofit or public utility.
Yes,
spaces.
that's correct. When we took a closer look at those parcels, they appear to be almost exclusively either churches, cemeteries, utility right-of-ways, and parcels that had some sort of current use that didn't really seem to be appropriate for like an open space acquisition opportunity.
Cemetery. Yeah, okay.
Moving to page 105, under one ongoing action agenda, under the third heading of maintain Woodbridge's conservation inventory. Actually, is to change the support Connecticut Green Plan conservation target to read maintain Woodbridge's conservation inventory. Then first bullet would be continue to maintain and add parcels where appropriate.
I don't know where we are.
Yeah.
We are.
Are we under the very first item?
On
Ongoing action.
page 105. Yeah, under ongoing action, we are basically replacing support Connecticut Green Plan conservation, and we are adding basically 3 bullets and changing the heading.
Okay, thanks.
Okay. So first bullet is to continue to maintain and add parcels where appropriate to Woodbridge's inventory of protected open space. Then a new action, which will be Department of Recreation plan, and then adding a bullet, continue to pursue needs identified by the Woodbridge Recreation Plan. So that takes care of that. And then another action and bullet, all under ongoing action agenda, to consider West River Watershed Compact. That will be, the bullet will be support West River Watershed Compact, explore and act upon potential benefits and impacts of the designation of the West River Watershed as a greenway.
I'll just, the new action that you're entitling Department of Recreation Plan, again, all the others start with a verb.
Mm-hmm.
Just start that one with a verb. Consider. We have a lot of consider.
Yep.
Well,
Sort of a vague action item, but it works.
find
that
another
doesn't really
word.
work.
Find out another word besides consider.
Well, but what we need to, I mean, does it have to be a separate action?
Well, it's a discrete area,
And it's
it's the first time we're
right.
kind of addressing the recreation plan.
Right.
So support the Department of Recreation Plan.
There you go.
You got
Okay.
reach out, support, maintain,
right.
support.
There you go. There's a strong. Okay. Then moving to 2 near-term action agenda.
Wait a minute. Did you do the watershed? You did that. Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Got
Yep.
the watershed. Under the near-term action agenda, under the heading develop classification system for open space, we're deleting bullet 2, which is the one define formal process necessary, etc., and replacing that with initiate a review of current municipally managed land for the purpose of identifying its future use for a municipal facility or dedicated open space.
So this is from comments that were being made at the public hearing about municipal land that wasn't fully protected, and the Fitzgerald property kept coming up. And I don't actually disagree with that. I was actually rather surprised that the 05 POCD didn't actually suggest that the Fitzgerald piece would be protected, but it wasn't. So I think it's a good idea, since it's the one piece of property that everybody is really pretty well aware of in town, as far as cornfields and walking and things like that. So I think it's a good idea to review all the property, especially the Fitzgerald property, as was pointed out.
So,
Do you want to specifically mention the Fitzgerald property? in that?
No. I think that I don't want to be that specific, because I think somebody should look at all of them and then come back and say, well, actually, we're not going to. I mean, you do run into the problem. Like, for instance, I think it's the Meese property. That's on the corner of Rimmon and I want to say Pease, but it's not Pease. Anyway, it was purposely it was bought to put a school on it. So it's a municipal piece of property. Maybe we should be looking at it again to say, do we want to put a building there? Maybe we want to protect it, but
do we think that using municipally managed land, do we think the only possible uses are for a municipal facility or dedicated open space? I'm wondering if we should just say it's future use, comma, example for a municipal facility or dedicated open space. I mean, what if we wanted to build a new ball field there?
Well, that would,
Is that dedicated open space, or is that a
That'd be
different sort of a...
Probably a municipal facility. Or we could take the...
I just don't know if I just don't know if there's any other option besides a municipal facility or dedicated open space.
Right.
That's
well,
we could take the 4A and
there
such
we go.
as municipal
Which we wanna do
facility, and that would
Well-
broaden the sentence.
well by protecting it, you're saying that you don't want the town to sell it.
that's right.
So I think it's okay to go back and look at all these pieces of property. I think that's probably the idea, which makes sense, I guess. But, no.
So the commission that will do that is?
It could. I mean, it could be conservation. It could be land trust. Could be parks. Could be anybody who has the property, who's overseeing the property. The board of selectmen could set up a committee to review the property. So there's all sorts of ways that could be done. It could be accomplished.
And I think that's important.
Yeah,
That's
we're just saying in the next 10 years, this is probably a good idea.
Well, if it hasn't been done, it's
And it may be that nothing gets changed because after the review, it may be determined we like it the way it is.
Yeah. But activity is important to know
Right.
that you're affirmatively addressing.
And also keep in mind, though, I believe that if the Fitzgerald property, I could be wrong, but if the Fitzgerald property had been a protected piece, I'm not sure they would have been able to put a firehouse on part of it. So you have to think about that too. If you protect everything, then where do you put these buildings? That means if you needed to place for a firehouse, you would have had to go out and buy a piece of property to build a firehouse, as opposed to using a piece of property that the town already paid for. So there's pros and cons to this.
Yeah, but there should be an affirmative review of everything.
Absolutely. That's the point. That's the point of this.
I think we also could say that, the Country Club of Woodbridge is a municipally managed land, right? So then you're saying that these are the options for, I'd like Kathleen's comment, about keeping options open, for example, because you're only saying if it's a municipally managed land that you have, identify its future use for, you're being very specific.
Well, I
Well,
think the
actually-
comment from consultants was identifying its future uses such as,
Yeah.
right, and not limiting it.
Right.
Right. Okay. So I think if you put that in,
That's the way to go, okay?
Each
Okay.
is broader.
EG is very broad. Thank
Each
you.
is broader. I just don't know what you want.
Well, I think
Broad.
that
Because-
broad is good.
We want broad
Yeah.
as possible. It's a vision.
I get it. I support that vision.
Still on page 105, under the heading, promote the town's recreational facilities. Add a new bullet point that would read, pursue improvements and secure sites for new facility needs identified by the Recreation Commission through a collaborative process between COOPOP and the Recreation and Conservation Commissions. Moving to 3, midterm action agenda. Basically, this is where it says develop a Woodbridge open space plan. You already have an open space plan. That has to be meant to read revised Woodbridge open space plan. It's already in place since 2002.
So I got to go back to the other one. I think when you, the one you just did, pursue improvements and secure sites for new facility needs, don't you mean just new facilities?
Yes. Okay, and the last one on page 5, where it says develop formal policy and procedure for acquisitions and sale of open space and publicly owned property. Deleting the words for sale.
Yeah. So this was created a lot of angst at the meeting. But just a little background, although the suggestion is to take it out. Coopop and Conservation, I believe Land Trust, they had come up with this idea that evidently there's a number of smaller pieces of property around town that aren't connected to anything. And the idea was, and we do have a lot of open space, and the idea was to possibly sell some of those smaller pieces and take the money and put it into a fund to buy other open space. So instead of getting into that, it's easier to take out sale, because to be honest with you, the town, every sale has to go for a referendum anyway. The town would have to vote on it, so it didn't really. But that was a recommendation from other commissions. That's how it got in there.
Because they were talking about linking up.
We're just trying to clarify things here.
Link up some of the trails.
Yeah, it wasn't the idea that we were going to start selling off property that the town owned. No one had that intention.
So it just needs to be acquisition of open space.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, that's not in the Woodbridge open space plan?
What, selling?
No, develop formal policy and procedure for acquisition of open space. Isn't that in the open space plan?
You mean a formal policy?
Yeah.
Well, it is consistent with the open space plan. So the only thing we're taking out of there is and sale.
So what I'm saying is that the previous bullet is revise the Woodbridge open space plan. So why wouldn't this just go underneath that previous bullet? Because the previous bullet formerly read develop an open space plan. Well, we have one. And so if this is going to be a policy that's a part of the open space plan, why wouldn't it be part and parcel? Unless you just want to...
Well, why not? What's it for?
Okay, that's fine with me.
You want to remove the caption?
I personally would leave it in there because I think they're both important. I get what you're saying, but...
Okay. Moving to page 118, Woodbridge and Amity Regional School Districts.
All right, so this is a there. Anyway, it's just updated.
Yeah,
it's just updated. That's really all this is doing. Just updating it. Someone from
we were made aware.
Beecher pointed it out, and so it's been updated. And
it's just factual.
NASDAQ provided
Right.
enrollment projections that
Right.
we were unaware of, so we're recommending to do enrollment analysis, and it's already been done. So this section is being revised.
Evidently, it was just done.
So we've updated to reflect that circumstance. On page 119, pretty simple, you'll see there at the bottom of the page kind of a gray call-out box. I would have liked to see a cafe, bookstore, small enterprise in the old firehouse. Well, they're not pursuing that, so that's kind of an inappropriate comment to be in here, so we're suggesting it be removed. Page 120, where we said originally under near-term action agenda, revisit demographic and enrollment trends should be revised to read monitor demographic and enrollment trends and continue to monitor school enrollments and local housing sales for indications of whether student immigration may cause higher future enrollments than projections indicate. Then we go to 135. Under 2 near-term action agenda, the second bullet under engage residents in protecting air and water, revising that second bullet to read coordinate or host events such as hikes, cleanup events at wood bridges, water resources, and informational workshops on topics including impacts of pesticide use. And then in that same section under engage residents, the fourth bullet, revise that to read work together with the other 4 West River watershed compact cities and towns to restore and protect the river and watershed as a central feature of the landscape.
The third or the fourth?
Third.
Third.
Oh, it says the third, but it's the fourth.
Yep, should say fourth, sorry. Going to page 138, this is another accessory. Under the land use definitions, village residential, the reference to accessory uses to be changed to in-law.
So accessory uses including secondary suites is being deleted in in-law.
Mm-hmm. That's correct. In-law uses.
Yeah.
So the rest stays the same, just that one change.
Do you need to add what we talked about regarding open land that we talked about earlier? If that's added as a definition, should it also appear in this list?
We didn't use that terminology in the land use legend.
As far as the categories of the future land use plan go there, we're not making the designation in terms of uses of the level of protection there, but just in terms of what's actually occurring on the land. So whether that's open space that's primarily for recreation, or open space that's just more general, open and or forested land. It's just sort of a different set of classifications, whether you're considering the legal protections or the sort of use that's being engaged in.
It's a land use. I don't know. Just doesn't matter.
Do you want the definition there?
I don't really care. I'm just pointing out that there's an inconsistency. And can this be alphabetized?
We can do that.
Okay.
Well, why not put the definition there? What's it like?
Just that it doesn't have a corresponding.
Because those definitions
Areas
are
on
only
that
coming off
map.
of the map here?
That's correct.
Okay. Got it.
Those definitions are strictly corresponding to
Got
the map on 139.
139, which is not bad.
Okay, I got it.
Okay.
Future land use. Okay, I get it.
Well, I mean, the other thing is
But
maybe
it
it should
should be-
maybe it should say land use definitions legend or something, so we know that it goes
Or
to.
future land use definitions, or refer to the
That
map on
works
the
too.
next
So
page
make sure
or something.
Yeah.
it refers
Yeah, we can
directly
write
to the
a note
map.
To that effect.
Unless, of course, it's going to be the facing page to that.
Yeah, that too.
All right, going to the action agenda, page 141. Under the goal, update zoning regulations. Under the third action, and adopt revisions to resident zone A, that will be deleted. Under action 4, revising 4 to read adopt revisions to residential districts to allow in-law units for related persons in existing and future single-family homes. Going to the goal, revise village district designation. The first action, redraw village district borders to match the village mixed use and village residential areas following recommendations from the 2005 POCD. Page 142. Bottom of the page, under the goal, encourage home renovations and code compliance to enhance home values. Deleting action 1 about low interest loans, finances. Removed kind of all references to finances from the document. That's really an implementation activity beyond the scope. $143 under the goal, expand Woodbridge's menu of housing options, top of the page. Action 1, revise to read, encourage an increase in the supply of starter homes and housing appropriate for young professionals. Under Action 2, revise to read, provide smaller, lower maintenance housing options with and without restrictions such as in-law units for related persons. With has got an H.
Yeah.
Movie youths.
Without.
Then
Do we want to add for single-family dwellings there again?
yeah, we should, to be consistent with what we said before. Use for related in single family, yes. Thank you. Under the goal, consider limited equity housing approach. Delete that and its accompanying bullet. So we remove all references to financing. Going to page 146. The first action, clarification that's in the brackets where we said through tax incentives, we're adding the word state, through state tax incentives. We addressed that earlier in the document. Action number 2, to be revised to read, encourage shared workspaces. Eliminated some references to uses. Under the goal, create live workspace, revise that to support creative industries by developing live work units in village district mixed use area. Under Woodbridge Village, goal, create functional pedestrian corridors across the village. First action, revise the bullet to read, invest in improvements such as street furniture, trees, bike racks and sidewalks, and promote street-oriented commercial uses within the village district mixed-use area.
And again, this is was the original intent of the 05 village district, as is in the regs.
Going to page 148. Under the goal, second goal, clarify and strengthen village district standards. What we're doing basically is adding, as recommended in the 2005 POCD, to clarify where that recommendation comes from. Moving to page 150, deleting the very last action on that page, work with regional water authority to avoid development. Class 1 and 2 are undevelopable as long as it's watershed. Page 151. Under the goal, avoid patterns of development that harm scenic and environmental values. Delete the first action, which is develop open space conservation, subdivision options, etc. That'll be deleted. Under the goal, preserve farmland, fertile soils, and local agribusiness. Deleting the word further. So the sentence would read historic farms and avoid development on prime farmland soils. Page 152. Under the goal,
The last goal.
Support. Okay, I'm sorry. Yeah, under the last goal, support Connecticut Green Plan conservation targets. We're substituting maintain and add to Woodbridge's conservation inventory. The heading. And the first action is amended to read, continue to maintain the local inventory of protected open space and add parcels where appropriate. Gets that back in line. 153. 53, under the goal, develop a classification system for open space. Action 2, revising to read, define a formal process for designation of future use for town municipally managed property.
Well, wait a minute.
Kind of follows along from an earlier
Right.
recommendation.
Okay.
And then page 155, under the goal, revisit demographic and enrollment trends. That goal is to be revised to read, monitor demographic and enrollment trends. And the action is continue to monitor school enrollments and local housing sales for indications of whether student immigration may cause higher future enrollments than projections indicate. And that brings us to the end.
Okay. Is there any other? So there are comments from pretty much everybody that's suggested comments. Rec, Coopop, Conservation, public hearing, clarifications, corrections. Are there any other comments from the commission of things that you think are missing or that we didn't address?
I think the main concerns, on page 27 were addressed.
Yeah. Well, I think there were a lot of concerns, but I think between changing them and clarifying, I think it worked.
What are the ramifications of not doing a POCD every 10 years?
You start to lose state grants. It's hard to get money.
When you get a state, when you seek a state grant, you have to certify that you have a plan.
That's what I thought. It was
Yeah.
just raised that there was no penalty from the state
That's
if
not
we
true.
didn't have a
Well,
POCD.
you don't get fined, but if you apply for money, you won't
I'm
probably
not going
get
to
it.
get it.
That's what I thought.
And the other reason you need to have it is so that if somebody comes along and says, we want to put a Walmart on the Country Club of Woodbridge property, we can say, the town gets to say, no, this is what we planned on putting there. And
By the way, it's updated and
right. But if it wasn't in here at all, you'd have a hard time fighting it. And we'd have a Walmart. Maybe. So,
It's a residence A.
yes, pardon?
Said it's a residence A.
Well, actually, it's kind of a no zone because remember the Board of Selectmen took zoning off.
No, I
Right,
understand.
right now, it's not subject to the zoning.
Not subject to zoning.
exactly. So it's a no zone. Okay, so I think I'm just looking quickly through the notes on the comments, but I think you guys did a great job. Appreciate it. I think that's it. Someone just to add something. It is 9:15, so I'm impressed. So we can.
can I just point out at least one place where there was awkward language? On page 126.
That's what we're here for. Oh,
It's the third paragraph. It says smart meters have been installed on a majority of Woodbridge homes by 2014. It just seems sort of, we're 2015. So I just don't know how it just needs to be. Maybe it's, as of 2014, many smart meters had been installed on, something like that. It just, the wording is just funny there. couple even.
Anything else?
Yep. Third paragraph on 102.
Which page?
102.
Which paragraph?
The third, I think complement is the wrong complement.
Ah, you're right.
Are we putting in the, that list of properties in the appendix?
We can have a discussion on that.
Say again, if you want what as an appendix?
I sent you the list of properties.
There are 4 classifications for those designations.
And it lists every piece of property.
That's right.
I think we should include that in the
We can
appendix.
include that as an appendix.
And all the changes made are just, they don't change in any way the consistency with the state plan, right? They were more refinement versus anything
Right.
major.
That's correct.
What's everyone's got that you want to get a clean copy
Yes.
to review? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
There's
I
a lot of
agree.
changes.
I agree. For some, yeah, whatever. Doesn't matter. Yeah, I agree. Just want to make sure. It's earlier than I thought. I'm looking fast. So I want, let's vote for it, German. Get the
If I were a voting member, I'd move it.
There you go. Oh, that's right.
Can't make the motion.
Okay, there's no more discussion?
What about a timetable?
Yeah, I think we should have a timetable for this.
I think we should do it on our March 2nd meeting.
Sure.
When will we get the revised draft?
This week, we trust.
That's right.
Okay.
Tomorrow.
Okay, that's good. That's good.
Check your email.
Check our email.
And we're supposed to
Actually,
review it by
the
second?
document's too big,
When
but
are you back?
Give
us a few emails.
Oh,
we could set this up in our Dropbox at the FTP site, and anyone who's so inclined could go and download it. So
Tell us which one.
Yeah, just
I
give us
may
the
not be able to
instructions.
get it all done. I don't know what our administrative people are got for workload, so it may take a couple of days. But we're talking certainly by the end of the week.
Yeah, we have a meeting on Monday as long as we
Got a
have a
meeting
few
on
days to
Monday, so
review it.
probably by Wednesday we should be able to.
okay, so the only drawback is not everybody can be here on the 2nd. So,
Move the meeting a week.
Have we all been invited to that Dropbox?
have you all been invited what?
To that Dropbox? You said, you talked about the
Yeah.
Yeah,
Dropbox.
you should just give us the.
Give you the link, and anyone
Yeah.
who
Yep.
can draw it, you could.
Chris can probably
We'll
forward.
coordinate with Chris. That's
Yeah, Chris has our
Download
emails.
PDFs.
Yeah.
Are you thinking March 9th, the next week? What are you thinking?
Well, enough time, we have enough time, and we have 2 or 3 days to review it.
Well, we haven't done anything monumental tonight. But it's your call. If you don't think you can get it
Well,
done.
right now, I don't know if I'm going to be here on Monday.
Oh.
I was not supposed to be here on Monday.
Oh, that's so
Well, that's at least 2 of you then, right? So
that's right.
So, I want to have everybody here who's participating.
Well, I kind of need one of you here anyway, so no matter what. So then let's move it to the 9th.
I won't be here the night.
Oh, okay. That's not good. So, Chris isn't here. I think we should just punt and have Chris send an email tomorrow.
Sure.
Find out when everyone's available.
Yeah.
Okay.
Good idea.
So, does that work?
Yep.
Okay.
We're still meeting the 2nd, though, right? I mean, do we
We
still
are
have
still
our
meeting
regular
the
meeting?
2nd.
The question is when this appears on the agenda.
Right. It won't be the 2nd.
Okay.
Okay, cool. Anything else?
Nope.
Motion to adjourn? Second?
We have to approve these minutes or not?
No.
No, that's for Monday.
Yeah.